The felon's approval rating plunges. Why an Air Force plane flew to Moscow? Is the felon manipulating the National Archives and giving away classified documents? What's the future of the FDIC insurance and a tragic suicide? Let's look into that. Welcome to Scrying Out Loud. My name is Trevor. So first, thank you to everybody who supports the channels through your likes, shares, comments. Um, and donations are greatly appreciated. They're not expected, but they are very humbly received. Okay, let's first start with um, the suicide. So, an 11-year-old girl apparently committed suicide as she was fearing that her classmates were going to call immigration on her parents. And in my 2025 predictions, I said the suicide rate would go up. And I said there would be some public suicide. I kind of thought it had already happened. Maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong about that. That just garners a huge questioning of society and some of the things that's going on in marginalized communities. So let's just ask the question, will this tragic suicide change perceptions on immigration? So I've seen the Five of Cups in the water, which is about loss. That makes sense. But I'm also seeing um, it's like a gymnasium full of people and they're white, which I think is important to this context. And they appear to just be grieving. Now, that might not be related, but I would think if you're a parent of someone in that age bracket, you'd have to be traumatized by the events. Yeah. So we get the death card to start with, which makes sense. That's what we're talking about here. And but death can also be a rebirth. So let's just keep going. This can be a rebirth and a change in attitude. Um, we get juggling finances is the challenge. So many people have been convinced that immigrants are the reason why they're having a hard time financially, and that's all to blame on the felon. There's really not many others to blame. Here we get families coming together. So I think, particularly the depiction here, the parents of the little child, they're gonna think more about their actions. Um, we get a message coming forward. It's in the past. This is the message about immigrants taking jobs and taking money. That's all that's about. Um, but we're going to get a new vision, a new start, if you want, around money in the sky. So I think people will start to really rethink this concept of what's happening. And then in the near term future, we're going to be moving out of troubled waters. I think the dialogue around immigration will be toned down locally, not from the felon and not from um, the people in his political party that are in power. But I think locally, the rhetoric will be toned down and we get victory. So something's going to come of this situation, as tragic as it is. And it's going to be a fiery message. It's a wake up call that words have consequences, right? I think so many times we've just allowed the felon to get away with speaking without there being any consequences. And there's an inevitability waiting for something to happen in the hopes and fears. Um, Dealing with overseas stuff, so dealing with immigration, there's a hope that things won't be as they currently are. Because right now it's very burdensome. We get the Ten of Wands, heavy burdens. We get the Eight of Pentacles, working hard to solve the problem. We get the Seven of Swords. This is a little bit unfortunate. Unfortunately, the felon's going to get away with this. I don't think he'll even be confronted with it because our media is so out of whack. But ultimately, it's about reunions and celebrations and family, strengthening the ties in the community, and doing so with passion and leadership. So I think that this event obviously is super tragic, but it might change the dialogue locally. Again, I don't think it's going to change the dialogue nationwide, but I think parents will speak differently about it in front of their children so that their children aren't taking this hate to school. Okay, so what's going on with um, the FDIC insurance? So, will the FDIC insurance, so this is the insurance that insures your bank account. I think it's up to like $250,000 in case the bank fails. There's been some talk that um, the Republicans want to do away with that. So, will FDIC insurance go away? Don't think so. I'm seeing Elizabeth Warren just like screaming her head off on this topic. Because who does that benefit if they take away FDIC insurance? It benefits nobody uh, on a personal level. I guess in some ways it benefits the government because they're off the hook for carrying the insurance, and it benefits the banks, but individuals themselves aren't. And even small businesses would be hurt potentially. So we get the sun card. Full illumination is going to happen on this topic. People are going to be made fully aware about what's going on. The challenge is this would be a new beginning for money and the way we think about money, the way we save money. And I'm not sure people are willing to go down that route. So, but if one plan doesn't work, try another. Don't be surprised if Republicans look out for the banks and investors in a different way. It might not be through this way, but we know who their real constituents are. They're not the people. We had a fiery message in the past. I think this is, again, people like Elizabeth Warren that have been speaking out for consumer rights. If this does happen, we get the Ten of Swords. This is like an ultimate downfall, an end of a very dark cycle. I think when this fails, this will be the start of the beginning of things kind of improving. And in the near term outcome, we get the Ten of Wands. It's just too big of a burden to bear. Uh, the House members and the senators aren't going to go along with it. We get the Two of Cups, new partnerships forming. We get the Nine of Wands. This is the politicians. They're very weary about going along with this scheme because ultimately, politically, I think they think it's a loser. In the hopes and fears, we get the Five of Swords. This is interesting. This is abuse of power, but it's also could be wounded in battle. It's also the card from this very specific deck that Rosalind Carter showed me to portray dementia. So I think it's just demented thinking that the public's going to go along with this. And we get the World card, so something coming to an end. We get pausing and suspension. Okay, so this negotiations around this are just going to come to a standstill, and ultimately we're going to get steady leadership prevailing with the Queen of Swords, which probably means nothing is going to get done. And at this point, nothing is better than them doing anything. in my opinion. So the message is going to get out. The politicians are going to walk away from it because it's not going to serve them with the Eight of Cups. And ultimately, we get the Justice card. So, um, those of you that are concerned about your savings accounts, I think they're going to be fine. I don't think we're going to have to rethink how we save money, um, and be safeguarded. Okay, so what's going on with the National Archives and classified documents? So, is the felon manipulating, stealing documents from the archives? Is the felon manipulating, stealing, selling documents from the National Archives or national security documents? Is the felon? I don't think so. I don't get that. I think he might be hoarding national security documents. I don't think he's selling them yet, might be the operative word. We get the King of Swords. So here he is holding them. He has them. The challenge is he got the strength to not use them for his own personal gain to get out of whatever blackmail type situation he's in for entertainment purposes only. We have the Democrats. The Democrats are trying to keep track of this. Of course, they get intelligence briefings too. And, they have people in the archives as well. In the past, we do have hard work going on. So I think there was an attempt in the past to maybe sell some of these things, but I don't think it happened. And we get new partnerships forming. I think this could be a uniting thing. In the near-term outcome, though, this isn't a good card. This is Elon Musk, the magician, this dark energy coming forward. We get things coming to the surface with the moon card. We get intergenerational relationships. So this would be like selling our future away or manipulating our future. In the hopes and fears, we get a new start, but a surprising new start. And then we get the hanged man again, pausing, suspension, rethinking the original plan. It's full of illusion and delusion to think that they could get away with it. And ultimately, something comes forward that keeps it from happening. And we get an end of a cycle, families and reunions coming together. And, this kind of makes sense. With the miser there waiting for death, which, we could think of as maybe being the felon. I think, I don't think the felon's going to be here long enough to get away with it. But we should check back on this question because it didn't feel like a very definitive no. It felt kind of like, not yet. At least he's not ready to go there just yet. Okay. So, why was this Air Force plane going to Moscow? What can you tell us about the Air Force plane that landed in Moscow? So, I don't think the government's officially acknowledged this yet. It was tracked on radar. There are pictures. Been lots of speculation. Why would an Air Force plane? It was like a jet. Why would an Air Force jet? I heard the word practice. Practice. Okay, maybe this is, yeah, practice to see how fast they could get to Russia as an escape plan. Go into- Can I see the King of Pentacles in the water and I escape? Is this like a practice for an evacuation to get him out of the country if he needs to? Maybe. Let's see what the cards say. That doesn't sound right, but maybe. So it's about something explosive. Not having choices is the reason why it's going to happen. I think so. I think this is practice so that he doesn't get confined, get constrained, get arrested. This might not even just deal with him, but other people like Netanyahu, which I know I've said this many times. Israel and Russia having an alliance is unrealistic, but Netanyahu and Putin having an alliance is not. Um, so to avoid entrapment or confinement, in the past, we have some people going along with this. It's now been reported, and I think I said this a month ago, that the lower ranking people in the military support the felon pretty good, like pretty heavily, but the upper ranks do not. And I think it's now being reported that there's plans to fire a bunch of generals and admirals and move people from the lower ranks up so that they'd be able to get away with this type of thing. This is definitely a crossroads moment. Yeah, they're trying to get away with something. We get the Seven of Swords in the near future. They're trying to steal something or smuggle something. And the only thing that makes sense to me at the time, although I'm interested to see what you guys think, to smuggle would be to smuggle the felon out of the country if things go really south. We get ill health. This is the Minor Arcana Death card. Walking away from things that don't serve us. I have always said this, and you can go back and look, that the felon is not really interested in being president, and he will easily walk away from the presidency if it serves him. So if the presidency no longer serves him, he might walk away. That might mean that he needs to leave the country in order to be safe in his mind. We get a fiery message in the hopes and fears. The outcome, we get the Democrats, the King of Cups. We get a new beginning with the Fool card. And we get the Wheel of Fortune. It's a question of which way it's going to spin. I'm going to pull one more. It's about judgment. We get a battle about to happen. We get heartache or heart attack. We get the inheritance card, the Ten of Pentacles. Here's the card for the felon. It's an escape plan that for entertainment purposes only. It's an escape plan. It might not be for him. It might be for uh, his kids too. It's hard to say what happens in the if he were to pass, what would happen? Or maybe he'll reach a point where he no longer trusts the medical system, although I don't imagine that the medical treatment in Russia's better, but yeah, I think that's it's about smuggling or escaping something. Let me scry on that a little bit more to see if I can't nail down what that's actually about. Okay, so there's been some reports, some new polling that's suggesting that the felon's approval rating now has dropped about 15 points since he first took office. And I'm not a big believer in polling for a lot of reasons. Um, but it's generally the trends generally are right. So Is the felon's approval rating going to plummet? Let's just ask that. Is his approval rating going to fall? Is the felon's approval rating going to fall the longer he's in office? I'm seeing the Knight of Swords, but from a different deck where it's standing on the precipice. So he's like one mistake away from losing a bunch of people. And I think in the one poll that I looked at the like inside, and again, I don't put a lot of weight in them. He's already lost about 12% of the people that voted for him. So let's see what the cards say. Well, he's worried about it. He talks about polls when they're good. He doesn't talk about them when they're bad. The challenge is circles of support around money. People are starting to talk about money in the grocery store, in the in small gatherings over dinner, and realizing that things aren't getting better, they're actually getting worse. And we got a report saying inflation had gone up and was trending the wrong way. And we get the Seven of Swords. He's trying to get away with this by, blaming others for these things, but we had things trending in the correct direction until he got instilled in the White House. In the past, we have families, reunions. Um, People were thinking about their families when the election happened, and they're still thinking about their monetary situations. We get the end of a cycle. I think this is the beginning of the MAGA cult starting to end, which was kind of what the last reading was about. We get a calming message coming forward. I feel like this is going to be very calming to the economy. And I think it might have to do with some of the April elections and Republicans dropping some of the things that they were thinking about doing. We get the tower, so explosive change leading to kind of really explosive energy. I just don't think he's going to be able to get away with these things. Yeah, he's not going to be able to get away with the mis and disinformation anymore, the abuse of power. We have the devil card. These are not good cards for him. Here's the Five of Cups. The hopes and fears. People feel like they're going to lose and lose financially under his current way of governing. And ultimately, it's about the giving and receiving of money, repayments of loans and debts, being able to buy things, also about health. And we're at a crossroads with choices to make with the Two of Swords, and we're juggling money. It's all about money. As much as I would love to sit here and tell you that his approval rating's gone down because he's a madman who, openly embraces dictators, that's not why his approval rating is going down. His approval rating is going down because of money and financial situations. Firing messages, people are pausing and suspending to really think about what exactly is going on. They're really giving it a good look over to see if he is doing the things he said he was going to do. Remember, he said egg prices would come down on day one. Well, they haven't, right? So, all right. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate everyone. Thank you.